This is the arcade experience. We're ColecoVision, and we bring the arcade experience home. With arcade graphics like Donkey Kong with multiple screens, just like the arcade game. Arcade controls, joystick, fire, and jump buttons. Arcade games like Turbo, Cosmic Avenger, Venture with 15 screens. And Zaxxon, games that let you have the arcade experience. Now you can bring the arcade experience home. Because your vision is our vision. ColecoVision.
Boom. Boom.
Bada boom.
You know, it's Friday again, and that's when, you know, some people say like Sunday is when your life starts again, right? You know, Sunday, starting the week.
Church, or you're
It is.
to anyway.
It is. But we're going to say Friday. Friday is the reset day. Today is the day that we just say, you know what? Let's just start again, start fresh. And welcome, Stephen. Welcome some of the people in the chat. Who do we have here tonight?
Yeah, we've got, let's see, Papa Brad's Gaming, Trendkill 91, Shannon Tutton. Let's see, Radlad 71, Alfred Berger, Mr. Jameson, Rich, oh, I don't know how to say the last name, Ogren, I guess. Anyways, we've got some more people. Jennifer's in there, Zero Cool, Big D's. Pliskin's Run, Darth Penguin,
Darth Penguin.
Darth Penguin 66, sorry.
There you go.
You had to add the year in there. But thanks for joining us, everybody. We got 34 people watching, which is great.
We appreciate everyone.
Friday.
Everyone.
And sorry about last week, guys. We couldn't make it. Some technical difficulties. We'll just say that.
No, I gotta fess up. No, if I do something wrong, fess up. So we had a couple problems last week. And if anyone saw, like, P-Dubs was having a problem last week with his live chat. So that was our problem. I couldn't get live chat to work. And I spent like 2 hours pulling my no hair out of my head out, trying to figure out why it wasn't working. But I said, you know what? All right, we'll go live without live chat. It's going to suck because you guys, it's the live chat that makes the show. You guys make the show, not us.
Yeah.
We feed off you guys. So we went live, and then it wasn't live. My system said it was live, but it wasn't there. So, you know, the weekend happened, and then the work week, this whole week's been absolutely crazy, which I'm sure a lot of people would agree was a crazy week. And then Steven pinged me a while ago. Goes, Glenn, you getting ready for the show? I'm like, oh, geez, what time is it? So I go to start it again. I'm like, it's got to be fixed by now, whatever YouTube did. And chat wasn't working again. I'm like, oh, my God, this is ridiculous. And I'm going through all these different things. I couldn't figure out what's going on. I said, let me just go check something here. And I noticed in the live stream on my end, YouTube must have made some update because instead of being public, it was sent to private. And if it's private,
nobody can see our show.
Right. But if it's set to private, the YouTube chat's not going to work because you can't chat with yourself. So once it did that, bam. So we could have gone on last week if I wasn't so decrepit and old.
It is. Break. No harm, no foul.
It is. So again, I want to thank everyone here in the chat. Again, you guys, the community, you guys are what makes this show or will make this show good.
They have made this show 43 episodes later. Is that what we're at?
We are at episode 43, unless I miscounted, because I only got 10 of these and 10 toes. So after 20, it's a crapshoot.
Well, we'll take your word for it. How's that?
So what are we going to talk about today, Stephen? We got a lot of static on our TV screen here, but let me see if we can clear some of the static. What do we got here tonight? Is it a game night or do we have a guest night? What do we have? Is it a game night or a guest night? What is it?
It's a guest night.
It's a guest night. Okay.
Yep. And basically, we're going to talk some ColecoVision and maybe some Commodore 64. Not sure yet. But this person here is a YouTuber that I reached out on through the ColecoVision community, and he's just starting out his YouTube channel. So I said, hey, why don't you come on our show? You were born in the 80s.
He was.
70s, sorry, not just the 80s or whatever.
And his YouTube's on a magic number today. So we got to try and get him more. But right now, he's got a really good number. I don't want to change it, but we think we should.
Yeah, it can only stay in that glory number for, so many minutes,
right.
I guess. So
right.
Glenn's going to introduce. So everybody, we've got Troy from a channel called Hitogify, right? Did I say that properly?
That is right. Hitogify, yes.
Where is it? I haven't used. Wait a minute. I haven't used it in so long. Wait a second. He's
going to put
there we
up
go.
some logos and stuff.
There we go. It's been so long. Had a show.
Is that a cheering crowd?
Couldn't find my cheers. There we go.
The crowd goes wild. So we're going to start off the show. So basically, I need to turn my microphone up a little bit. Andy's game room says.
I'll turn up a little bit. There we go. See if that helps you guys.
Maybe not too loud, but whatever. But we're going to ask Troy here, how did he get back into the whole Coleco thing? And tell us about your channel, what inspired you to wake up one morning and go, I'm doing this today.
Yeah. I don't know if I remember. I know I wasn't trying to build much of anything. I just I think I saw the ColecoVision community, people like you guys that just did retro things. And I just wanted to share, that would be, cool. But people like this stuff. I like this stuff. And I do a lot of video work, amateur video work that, kind of has gotten better and better. So
Cool.
One day, I told the story of ColecoVision, how much I liked it, and I guess the Phoenix came out from CollectorVision, and that allowed me to play a number of games, that I had that weren't working or whatnot. And
did you finally get a real ColecoVision eventually?
Oh, I've had real ColecoVision, but I don't have all the cartridges. So, but I got I guess the what's the Atari one that can play all the games?
Atari Max.
Yeah, that's what I actually
the
got
cartridge.
First. That really led me to it. Yeah. And then I started playing all these games I played growing up, and it was awesome because I had it ever, when I was 12 or whatever age we all were, and I never stopped loving it. Never when I think I liked ColecoVision until I noticed girls, and then they were a blur for the next several decades to a wife and a couple kids, and then, yeah. So I've got, and I think I've got 3 working ColecoVisions.
Oh, cool.
One with the video stuff done for me. I don't have the skills you guys have.
Now, is it a composite mod or do they have the F18 VGA out?
I have no idea. I did know at one time, but once it's plugged up and working, I forget about the things that I don't understand.
See, we like to mix it up on the show. We like to get technical folks and people that are not, and that's okay. It's all good.
That's where I am. My theater degree is not helping me in the tech area in any way, shape, or form.
There's a few people in the chat sharing the year they were born. So if everybody's comfortable with that, put that in there. I'm curious to know what year were you born, Troy?
I was born in 70. January of 70. Yeah.
I was at the other end, December of 70.
Children.
Right the last month.
Right.
And you were born in 1908, I think, Glenn, or something like that?
Close to it. 69. The only good number in the entire list.
That's why you like the number on his thing, not
of
because
course.
of the other reason.
What did you think, you
There's another
perv?
reason?
Well, that's what it was, the perv thing.
You're such a
What do we got
perv.
here? Holy crap, everybody went bonkers. 1984. Sure.
Oh my God, really? 1984?
Yeah, Game Broker 84. Of course, that's in his name.
71.
Then Rich is 74. Shannon 73. And then Darth Penguin 74. The Dawn of Time 79. 77 for T-Bone Ajax or Alex, whatever.
So,
Alfred Berger. He didn't share.
To 70, you lived quite a life because born in 70, so you're 1 to 10. And then all your teen years were the 80s. Come on, that's insane. That's
with
the
Duran
Duran
and Kiss and Def Leppard and the real good music.
See, that's the thing, you know. It's like someone was born in like 84. You know, the next question is, what music do you listen to? Do you listen like, is it really 80s, 90s, or 70s? Because the 70s had some, I mean, every generation has good music except for now. Right.
Now it's
all garbage.
Right.
But the 70s, it's just the classic music, and playing your ColecoVision with, like, you know, some classic rock playing in the background or something like that. Not Mariah Carey or whatever. Who are these newfangled kids listen to these days? I don't even know.
Carey is not even.
Cannot keep up.
I think, but yeah, Van Halen for sure.
Oh,
I mean, my kids, and this was interesting. I was in the truck today. I'm bringing my daughter and my son. And they were going in different directions and stuff. And in my truck, I had the Romantics, Talking in Your Sleep.
Yeah.
My kids know the words to that song, and I was like, oh, I'm so proud. I almost had a tear. So beautiful moment.
That's wonderful. Yes.
And I brought them up right. Like, they know, like my daughter, she's 14. She wears a Def Leppard shirt to school. I'm like, wow. I'm so proud.
Well, and as a teacher myself, though, the challenge is then I always ask the student, can you name a song? And they can usually name one. Once you get to two, blank as a fart, man. There's nothing going on. They see nothing.
They just like the shirt, and that's it. Papa Brad's Gaming, Tom Sawyer by Rush, of course. It's those were the good stuff. Especially, see, we don't talk about the music much on the channel, and we should, I think, because that played a big part back then. I mean, I remember a show on television. It was called Friday Night Videos.
Yeah.
And I think it was on NBC or something. It was out of New York, Glenn. I think it was out of a station out in New York. And they played videos.
Could have been.
All night long.
Could have been.
And there was Def Leppard on there. I heard it Foolin' for the first time. It blew my mind by Def Leppard. I was like, oh, my God. You know, so... That's the thing. It's an awesome thing, right? So Glenn was asking about the composite mod.
Oh, before we do that, so
okay,
I did a poll. And how many people actually played on a real ColecoVision? Because nowadays emulators, or younger kids may have only played on an emulator,
whatever,
right, or something like those. You and your Mister. Enough with it. Just say an emulator, okay?
No, I'm just saying.
Not everyone can afford a Mister, Stephen.
No. It's the ColecoVision Phoenix is a FPGA.
That's another one as well. But 67% of the current people in our chat have actually played on a real ColecoVision. 32 have not. Now, my question is, does that make a difference? Is the experience, and I'm asking this for a reason. I'll see if you pick up on it.
Are you swearing at the connections?
Is there a difference between playing the ColecoVision on an emulator for the experience or a console? And I'm not just talking about plugging in a cartridge, you put it in, but with the ColecoVision specifically, is there a difference in the experience between using a real ColecoVision or just using an emulator?
That's an excellent question. I shoot my videos on the computer. I play on an emulator for the videos just to get better capture and that I can play and see myself and all that. But what do you think, Steven?
I prefer the real thing,
not prefer, but I'll let you shut up. Shut up, Glenn.
Demand.
Keep going.
No, I'll tell you what the difference is. Like, I'm kind of on the side of Troy here a little bit, where if you want the reliability, emulator /Pi/ whatever, it just works. But there's nothing that really beats sitting down at a ColecoVision and swearing at that stupid switch that's dirty or whatever, the power supply that's conking out, or the cartridge you got to take a Q-tip with alcohol and rub the contacts and shove it in and out a few times to make it work without artifacts on the screen. But all that process is the nostalgia of it all, right? And finding a television with RF in if you don't have the mods, you know. So there's something about that that's irreplaceable in a sense, you know. Like the Mr. FPGA outputs the best quality of a game for ColecoVision, but there's just something about putting the cartridge in.
That's what I said, not to make your opinion. I specifically said, do not make your opinion. I'm putting that part in. It was a part of the beginning.
oh my God, so disappointed.
So I'll tell you what. Well, you say, did you actually answer it yet? What you thought? I know Steven did, but did you actually answer?
I did. I was just gonna piggyback on what Steven just said. I think of it like the music now. When I grew up, I could listen to like the 4, 7, 12 albums I owned, and that is it. Then you can go to radio, but if that's not, you know, that was your option. It's kind of, but now you can go YouTube Music, boom, what do I want to hear? Anything on earth that ever existed, I can have it right
fingertips.
now.
Yeah.
And
in the chat,
like the VHS, going
to
Blockbuster,
chat,
and that
BA
weekend
got
you had to watch those 3 movies, or they're gone.
In our chat, BA hit it right on the head where I was going for.
What's that?
It's
the
like
joystick.
playing on an old telephone.
The joystick. That joystick was murderous. Not as bad as the Intellivision.
It's really bad,
Right.
yes.
It's bad. Yeah, that little joystick where it's hard to throw, and you have the 2 side buttons. If you're pressing both at the same time, that's what I was going with. So if kids only played it on an emulator and using like a regular joystick or an Xbox controller, it's probably a lot more fun than we had back then going, this joystick is such a little pain to get in the buttons, and then you have to take your hand off to hit the buttons on the bottom of the telephone for mousetrap.
Poor ergonomics, man.
But who
That's what I was
didn't
going
get a
with.
different joystick for the ColecoVision? Is there a person that didn't get a different? I mean,
I
even
was
if you got
stock only.
Super Action controllers.
I'm with Glenn. I only had stock because that's all I could afford.
Well, I did have
Oh, I
Super
had it.
Action. I did have Super Action. I did.
Yeah,
So I consider them
got that one.
stock, so they were better. But that's what I was kind of going with. So newer machines, FPGAs and computers gives you a certain experience, but I also know mentally putting in a cartridge in a real machine, but that controller for short periods of gameplay was fine. It was fine. But once you started like if you had to shoot like a both sides with those 2 buttons on the side and use the joystick and had to change modes on the keypad, I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
The only one I considered worse, I did a whole review on my channel ages ago between the Intellivision controller, 5200 controller, ColecoVision controller, and the Jaguar. And what came out dead last, actually, of course, was the Intellivision controller because that disc was horrid. But I actually put the ColecoVision behind the 5200. The 5200 was not as reliable, and we all know that it wasn't reliable. It still felt better in the hand, and when the joystick worked, it was better.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, we
lost you for half a second.
Oh, no, that's
Doesn't it depend on what game you're playing there, Glenn?
It kind of does. I mean, if the game just uses the joystick, like Donkey Kong. With Donkey Kong, it really wasn't too bad. You had the one jump button. You know, you held the controller, and the joystick wasn't horrible. But I remember playing like I want to say it was the 007 game, the James Bond 007 game, because one was shooting, and then one was your mines or your missiles, and you had to kind of do that a lot. And then if you had a game like Mousetrap, you got to hit that button. Then you had your whole pad for the different gates. So it really became hard to hit everything over there.
Oh, yeah.
But there's one other commercial I want to show, because this is something else. Since you're a ColecoVision guy, and Steven owns ColecoVision Addict, you can't get him a ColecoVision that. I'm going to put up one other.
Which is an astoundingly good site.
It is. We gave him a shameless plug there.
Thank you.
Let's do this one other commercial here.
You'll never finish by morning.
No problem. Now, command the powers of Adam with professional keyboard, high-speed memory drive, and built-in word processor program, all in one package.
Oops, you gotta start over.
Relax, Adam. Do that paragraph.
Is that legal?
And print. Adam, even a letter-quality daisy wheel printer.
You did it!
Adam, my launch sequence.
Is that legal?
Command the powers of Adam and program your future.
So how about Mr. Adam? Anything from Mr. Adam?
Crickets.
Yeah. I never had an Adam. Never could
Me
afford
neither.
it, and then yeah.
Just a console. I know Glenn. Did you have an Adam? growing up?
I had one back in the day and I sold it, and now I have a full Adam with the F18A VGA out, and I have
Yeah.
2 of the expansion modules as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, and it was one of those things that back in the days, you guys may have known, had so many problems, but it actually, when they got the bugs out, was actually a nice machine.
Mm-hmm.
I was
what I
actually
always
just
heard.
going to ask in the chat who that girl was, and somebody
Yeah.
got it right on the
Yep.
head. Game Broker 84.
Yeah, is she out of jail? Is she out of jail now?
Oh yes, that's right. The whole college
Pretty-
bribery
I think
business.
she avoided it, didn't she? Didn't
No,
she
I
pay
thought-
a lot of money? Like
Oh,
she
you know,
did to
maybe
get her
she
daughter
did.
in college?
Money
Could
makes
be.
lots of things happen, as we all
Yes,
know.
it
I want to
does.
go back to a piece of chat here.
Sure, go.
Martin Meyer, you guys ever get the FPGA Coleco console? And I will say yes. And it ended up on eBay and quadrupled my money. So
It really did.
Goodbye, Charlie.
It really did.
I never used it. I just never used it. I
But it was
honestly
funny
never did.
because, when you told me you're going to put it on eBay, I'm like, oh, you're not going to make a lot of money in that. And it like blew up on eBay.
Oh, the thing went up to $1,200. I never dreamt it would go up that high ever. I thought I would sell it for the price I paid for it, maybe a bit of extra cash, and that's it.
But
Oh, the thing took off. I was like, it's the first time I sold something on eBay that went like that, to be honest. So to answer your question, yes, didn't like it. It didn't work on half the stuff. Any HDMI thing. It's not to badmouth it towards the people that do own one, but in the end, it was just not for me. So I have 3 real ColecoVisions, and I have the Mister. I'm good. You know what I mean? I don't need more ColecoVision.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
this poll's been bad. 100% no.
Have
No.
you owned an Adam ever?
Yeah.
No.
100% no.
Nobody-
Well, and
Did you
Steven
vote on
put
that
it on
one
there.
too, Glenn?
There's Steve. I can't pronounce the last name there, but never had an Adam, moved on to C64, which is exactly what I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you went
Here,
from
I went
ColecoVision, and
Coleco
you
to 64.
and am I correct in saying that the ColecoVision was is like the last console you purchased? You have nothing past ColecoVision. Is that true?
Yeah. I'm not an all-around gamer. I know I disappoint everyone, but I got, life and kids and stuff, man. Just keeping up with one is enough for me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I love the community. I love, watching. I watch videos about all the systems, and you guys were just talking about one. I want to go back and watch some of Glenn's, and
Well, Glenn's got a whole bunch of them. Him trying to repair some of them and
Yeah.
upgrading them and all that stuff. That's how we met. And then basically, I don't have any because I don't have a YouTube channel. Crazy me. But there's a whole pile of people as far as all these cool things that exist out there for the ColecoVision. Like the Super Game module by Opcode.
Yeah.
Homebrew games out the wazoo. They may or may not violate a few copyright laws, but that's another day, another story,
right.
and another subject. But there's people making original games for the ColecoVision that if you would have asked me that 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I would have went, no. And sure enough, there's people making games for a console that's 30 plus years old, right?
Yeah.
So
Wild.
And that's crazy. It's just even mind-boggling. And I have a short story to share with you guys.
Before you
guys
hit it
have
up real
heard of-
quick in the chat,
Okay.
Jamie Loken said, and this was a true thing. Oh, he was poor, and only the rich kids had a ColecoVision.
I begged for a ColecoVision.
Oh, I was not a rich kid.
We were not rich either. We were middle
But-
class, obviously. That's what we were.
But we didn't
growing
even
up.
have an Atari before that. We had nothing. Like every one of my friends had an Atari and a television. I was
Oh,
the
same
last
here.
one to get it.
We had a Pong thing with the
Yeah,
wood
we did
grain
too.
finish.
Yes,
we
we
had
did have
that
Pong.
before on a black and white TV. Then we got Coleco. So imagine my poor little mind being blown right there and then. It's like.
Right.
But I want to share something real quick here because this is slightly a little technical, but not really. So
Okay.
You guys have all heard of Chat GPT, right?
Yeah, a lot recently, yes.
Okay, well, I asked Chat GPT to write a simple game for the ColecoVision. Okay, this thing spat out assembly code language at me, like it's basically like a little cursor moving on the screen. This AI pumped out code. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
Whoa.
oh my God. Like, it basically had all the assembly language calls and everything. And I was like I'm not a programmer on that front, but I recognized some of the code and I was like, wow. That's all I got to say is wow. I never tried it to see if it would actually work, but my mind was blown. I was like, holy mackerel.
Yeah, that's wild.
So Terminator is coming for us, that's for sure. So the AI is going to program our Coleco games for us. You'll just
and
walk
do our
up
art.
Yeah. Mid-Journey, I've been messing around with that. So it's like, sorry, I just wanted to share that chat.
I have something I'd like to
Shoot.
throw out. I'd like the chat to and you, Glenn, your thoughts. So the homebrew community for ColecoVision is awesome, and yet the advertising is atrocious. I can't tell you how many times I've got a game, I reviewed it, put it on there, and people are like, "Where'd you get that? You're on a Facebook page or whatever specifically for ColecoVision, and you don't even know there was a new release at all." Like it happens constantly.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever go on Atari Age?
Go to Atari Age and look through 700 lines of different text, and then find the other one that links to the other one when the guy started it back, 2 years ago, and then you won't find anything still. So.
Atari Age is still a very good resource for these classic consoles, right, Stephen? As he's choking to death, as he's coughing up a lung.
I'm just coughing. Basically, I like Atari Age. I really do. The problem is exactly what Troy said. You're flipping through posts and more posts, and then by the time you get to the game that was supposed to be released, it's buried. So there's no real way to, unless there's somebody in the community that says these are the homebrew games that are currently in development, and that person keeps updating that page on the status. I've seen that, but like a needle in a haystack, sadly.
It is, but sometimes
you.
Okay,
go ahead.
No, please. You're the guest. I'm in town. I won't shut up.
Sometimes I can't find the information, so I'll go to their website, and it has less information than what's floating around.
Oh yeah.
We started, it's like latest update 2016. I mean, like that's not helping.
They're waiting till Jesus come back.
If you do have, what's good about them though, sometimes you'll get games that you can beta test them, right? They're coming out. There was a couple of games out there that the Donkey Kong VCS. That was something I was like, that can't even be real. I'm looking at the graphics. That's not even real. And I had a Atari Flash cart, right? So I put that in there. Was it Atari Max? I can't remember what it was. Anyway, you put it on there, and
a Harmony cart for the.
Thank you, the Harmony cart. Thank you.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong VCS, Pac-Man 8K. It blows your mind to see what the 2600 could do. I can't say for an experienced programmer, because they were good programmers back then, but they can get a little more memory on these cartridges. They can they can pump up the memory, and they could take years versus maybe have 2 or 3 months to make a game by themselves. But it just shows that the 2600, and it was primitive. There wasn't too many things more primitive than that machine. And if you haven't seen a Donkey Kong VCS or Pac-Man 8K, there's other ones as well that they've been making.
Pac-Man 8K is something impressive.
It's phenomenal.
You get the Pac-Man from back that got released to the public, and then you see this thing, you're just like, oh my God.
That's one of those things where if even because there was a Pac-Man 4K that was just a little more limited. It was the same guy. He released Pac-Man 4K. Now the original Pac-Man was done in 2K. Now he kept asking, he wanted to have 4K. But they kept telling him no. Not to say they would have been much better than what he released, but I'm just saying that this programmer basically made it almost look like the Atari 5200 version, which was I think a very good version of Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. So it's just amazing what people can do, even with a very limited thing and without some AI. I mean, that's the other big thing too. I've been seeing a lot of people asking AI to draw this artwork, and I'm worried, dudes. ColecoVision was going to take over the world. Atari wasn't going to, make Skynet. These new machines, I can see a PlayStation 6 or an Xbox 15 going rogue saying, I'm tired of you playing me. I'm playing you. I am going to put you in the game. And I'm worried about that.
Well, with AI the way it is now and answering these funky questions, I'm starting to get worried a little bit, So
okay, I do have one thing. I got a question you said, Glenn.
Yes.
2 or 3 months to make a game is fine. I mean, look how ET turned out for Atari. Come on, these are great things.
Well, two things real quick. I'm just actually shocked. And BA just did a super chat. That's really not necessary. I mean, we love you guys. If you want to do super chat, you don't have to do anything like that. But that is more than wow. But he said, this is one show I appreciate. Thank you, gentlemen. Because this isn't a show. I mean, we're doing the talking, but the show is not us. The show is you guys in the chat. And this is really formed for you guys to go around.
Glenn and I had this discussion. It's two things, our guests and the community. It's not really about me and Glenn in the end.
It's not.
We do cheap shots at each other. That entertains people a little bit, but that's about it, you know. So it's
well, I'm the guest. I'm surprised that's not a negative.
No, we don't do that to our guests. We do it to each other. That's how we roll. Real quick, I did end another poll. What did they find had the most fun games? The 2600 got 67%. It got the. Here we go. We're back.
There we go.
You know what? Listen. You know what? Tonight's a big Fortnite or whatever he's playing upstairs night for Cole, and he's sucking all my bandwidth. I even have QoS turned on, but he must be playing a heavy game of Fortnite upstairs. So I apologize.
Well,
that was definitely
a new mode or something
on
whatever.
My side. And Hobby Hands did it again. Another $2. See, thank you, Hobby Hands. To the young folks here, 4K is not high def. No, a 4K ROM is definitely not what we're talking about. 4 kilobytes.
No.
4
kilobytes of data, yes. And BA, thank you for appreciating our show.
It really is.
We do our best to bring that nostalgia. I mean, we grew up with it, and we see all these clowns on the news that are doing stupid crap. So this takes it all back and in a nice, comfortable headspace. You know,
it is. So I'm going to ask you. So when you were younger, you get the ColecoVision in '82. When did you actually get your ColecoVision? How old were you?
Me?
Yeah.
I was 12. I'm pretty sure. So the story goes, my grandma had already got me a Atari 2600, and from Tipton Electronics. No, from Venture, I think. It doesn't matter. And then I was showing her this video game magazine I saw. It was so cool, this ColecoVision thing. So my dad had to return that, and and then I got the ColecoVision. And I didn't know any of that, story at the time. But yeah.
What'd your grandma say? She went, yeah, I meant to go get it for you.
Yeah, she had no idea. I remember she played Donkey Kong Christmas morning and got horrible arthritis the next day and could barely do anything. She kept jumping up the ladders. That was all I remember. So...
Oh yeah, I can imagine that controller. Yeah, there's got to be an arthritis liaison of some sort there. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The ColecoVision and television and the 5200 were controllers that were designed to mutilate people's hands.
They were, absolutely.
But it was also an early year. It was an early time. They were trying to make something new. But to be honest, I have to give it to Nintendo. That NES controller, that little D-pad was a huge game changer. I remember seeing it. I'm like, I can't play a video game on that. It's no joystick.
Still can't play with those things. But the one, and I was showing Stephen earlier, this is the one I play with the ColecoVision now.
Oh, nice.
With this one.
Is that an Aladdin? Is that an Aladdin controller?
No. Well, this is from Aladdin. The guy that built it got this from Aladdin, and then the rest he put together for me. And we designed it because I play right-handed like an Atari joystick. But I know my friends everybody now plays left-handed except for me, so I wanted ambidextrous with the buttons in the middle so that anybody could use it.
So it's an Atari Lynx style controller. When you're holding the Lynx straight up, you can play it left or right or whatever.
Yeah.
So what is your...
It's a guy in Illinois. It's a great joystick.
What is your favorite ColecoVision game? What's the one you constantly go back and say, this is a good game?
That's your jam.
Yeah, that's a great question. Back in the day, it would be Mr. Do. I like to put it on like level 3 or 4 and just go to town. And then, but Frenzy, which I didn't find until, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever.
Really?
I love that thing. Anything that you pretty much think you're going to die in a second and you're just panicked. That's, my degree's in theater. Acting
and Steven,
is like that for me.
You could tell them about the sequel they came out with finally.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
You have Berserk?
Yes. Oh yeah. Are you kidding? When you get Frenzy and then they're coming out with Berserk?
Well, basically, I was telling
him. I was like,
when I'm live, man, no guitar playing. So we got Goofy Foot with a super chat, and GRS, the mod father.
Oh, Pepper 2, that's another great one. And Venture, those are, see, every time I say that, that's right
Pepper
up there.
2. I always wondered, where's Pepper 1?
I know.
There isn't.
Besides,
isn't a
why
Pepper
is it called
1.
Pepper? What the heck does Pepper have to do with a zipper? I don't understand.
But it's weird because there was no Pepper 1 ever.
Mm-hmm.
But they called it Pepper 2, not 2 as in also. No, number 2. And you're like, it sent everybody looking for the prequel or whatever.
Right. Everybody's looking for the Berserk for Pepper too.
Yeah, exactly. So Pepper 2 was one of them. So what's the other ones?
I mean, I loved the ones that they're listing are some of my favorites. See, Miner 2049er, that one ticked me off like nothing. Oh my gosh!
So Glenn, did your son get to see what's his face with the baseball bat there?
Let's see. Do you even have the sound effect here anymore? I don't know if we even have it anymore.
Oh, Ladybug! Nobody said Ladybug, did they? That was another one. Woo.
No. Ladybug was a good game. Ladybug was a good game.
It's a Pac-Man clone, I called it.
But it wasn't. It was, but it wasn't.
Yeah. It's similar.
Back then, Pac-Man was huge, so people were obviously going to copy it. Rally X, you can say, was also a Pac-Man clone.
Driving around in the maze, I guess. Yeah.
People say even Mr. Do could be a Pac-Man.
So we got Cam here.
We've
got Zaxxon, one of our guests in the chat. Zaxxon, Pepper 2, Mr. Do, Popeye, Mousetrap.
Oh, Zax, yeah.
Popeye was pretty good for a home version, to be honest.
It was.
Compared to, Popeye, Cubert was pretty good. So
I had a lot of fun with Cubert on the ColecoVision. It was well done.
Yeah, it was actually.
What about the people talk about super action controllers and how they were insane and everything.
They were.
Rarely do people talk about the baseball and football game, which were
excellent.
My friend and I played football every day after school, probably for a year and a half. Every single day. I've got a cool story about it. But Glenn, I saw you light up. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, well, I played Frontline. I love Frontline, and I bought those Super Action controllers just to play that because, to be honest, I had no friends, so it was hard to play the Super Action baseball. I won all the time because it's just me batting and pitching, and I never did good. But Frontline, because if you don't know what a Super Action controller is, it was insane. It was a joystick on top, an 8-way joystick on top. There was a rotary spinner. There was a keypad, and then there were 4 buttons down here. So you held it like this. And then you had the joystick up here plus the buttons. It was
almost took out the trash too.
It was already massive as it was, but somehow if you had bigger hands, they actually made a part that went in the back to make it for bigger hand. Remember that? To make it even bigger. It's like whose hand was that big? They needed to put a bigger thing on that controller.
Right. And it had the shield. So you couldn't even see what button they were pushing, which was funny because there was no shield over the top where you could obviously see the play they pitched in, but you couldn't see when they passed the ball, which you weren't looking at because you're playing the game. So anyway.
Right. I thought those weren't meant for hitting people, but
I was thinking the same thing, Steven.
Boxing. Because there was a boxing game, but I don't think
oh my God.
It was Rocky, wasn't it? The boxing game?
Yes.
Rocky, yes.
I never had that one. So
it was actually pretty good. It was you against Clubber Lang.
Yes.
That's it. It was just you and Clubber Lang back and forth. That's
the whole time.
It was. That's it.
Okay,
not enough RAM to put another guy in there.
If I can toss out a question, we always talk about the best game. What was the worst game on ColecoVision? Or the one that just you went like, what?
Oh, geez, the list is long
most of them are
there.
really good.
I'm gonna have to say only the ones that I owned. I'm not gonna say the ones I've downloaded after the fact. Just as growing up, the ones that I owned, and it's hard to even say this because it wasn't a bad game, but it was just very repetitive with Smurfs. It was a game that was graphically good. You looked at it, oh my God, it looks like Smurfs, and you bounced. But that's all you did. You just jumped and walked, and that was the game.
Jump and walk and jump. Yeah, you're right. And I didn't have that one, but it is. I love when the character died though, because it was so brutal. Do spunk.
Who's even got the box?
There it is.
We can.
They could have at least put. They should have put at least Azrael. Once you got up a couple levels, Azrael should have come out and at least attacked
if you touched a.
This is got my
the
Berserk.
Yeah.
Awesome, and
great
I got
game,
Robotron.
Man.
These are the ones Robotron. I just got, and I got another one.
Wait. Go back to Robotron. Does the Robotron let you use 2 controllers?
Yes.
It does. How does that work out with those ColecoVision? How does that work?
I think it's through the trackball thing. You put them on both the roller controller on both sides, and you work it like that, I think.
Right,
I
you
guess
can
that's
drop
a good
in there.
idea.
Now, what I do, so I have 2 clamps, and I clamp down 2 joysticks, and it works awesome. That's exactly what I do, and it's a blast.
That is awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
That's the stuff.
Real quick
that's
to
on the
Jason,
homebrew side
Jason
of things, right?
M.
So,
there is something going on here. We are getting some lag. I apologize. There's been a couple of dropouts. It's completely on the Glen Retro Studios
call
end.
It Troy. You don't have to say lag.
I'm just looking at, and yes, the edutainment games from Coleco, the Dr. Seuss and Turtle, I forget what it's called. I was going to say Turtle Wax.
Well, that was a good thing about ColecoVision because they got licenses that no one picked up, but they were all great games. Like Jason said here, like Looping, Cosmic Avenger.
Right, Looping. So what did you guys think of Looping?
I enjoyed it for a while, but it's repetitive. Again, all those games were repetitive, really.
Well, they only had so much RAM, and that's it, right? But the Smurfs, like I was telling Troy earlier, you just touched a plant, you were dead.
And you didn't sort of die. Like, it was always
Oh yeah, that's right. It's like your neck was broken somehow by touching the plant, like somebody snapped the Smurf's neck. That's what it sounded like.
But
and then the music would just stop.
It was just walking and jumping. And in 1982, kids, in 1982, we were entertained walking and jumping. That was it.
But this was the sad part of that game was it had this nice little music of walking through the forest, do do do, and then when you died.
Hold on, I gotta throw this up for you guys. Hold on. Da 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 da. Please stand by. Da da da. Technical difficulties. Da da. We're back. There we go. Yeah. It's gonna be one of those nights. It's gonna be like Friday 13th, Stephen, all over again.
Oh, Friday the 13th. That was so bad.
Yep.
It was it was so bad. Anyways, we were talking about Cosmic Avenger.
Yes.
See, at my house, my brother had his games and I had my games. So we had Donkey Kong that we shared because it came with the machine. And then my mom got my brother Cosmic Avenger and I got Donkey Kong Jr. because that's the game I wanted.
Right.
And after that, I got Popeye, and then my brother got something else. I forget what it was. We had about 6 games roughly, and that was it. It was just too expensive. It was like, what, $50 a game back then, or $40 a game?
50 for, I think it was 30, but you just got to figure that 30 was like $60 now. So
yeah, exactly. What was your favorite game on the Coleco, Glenn, or the one you hated the most or thought was crap?
Well, that was the Smurfs, and again, it's hard to even say I hated it because it was a good graphic. It was like a graphic commercial for ColecoVision, just showing the graphic capabilities, the animation. That's what that game really was. But when you saw it, that was one of the games you bought. You had Donkey Kong that came with it. You bought Smurfs, and then you realized after 5 minutes, like, this is all we do. You just walk and
Oh yeah, and you get if you touch something once before the end, you die. You start all over again. That's like take the wind out of your sails or what, you know.
There's people on here mentioning War Room in 2010, and I have not played those. I'm actually trying to start to play some of the games that I never had, and then I'm gonna try to make videos for those.
I will say
that's what Troy's been doing, is making new videos of these older games, right?
War Room is a fun game. Again, when you get good at it, you'll play it for hours, and then you just get bored of it. But it's a good strategy game. It's a fun game. Now, the 2010, I never played it myself because it's a graphic adventure, and I can barely read as it is. So playing a graphic adventure is hard, but I know people have played it through, and it looks pretty cool. I'm just not good with the word thing.
Right.
I can't keep our internet going.
Game. It's a very slow-paced game. Like you don't be in a hurry like Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. Right. It's not happening, you know.
And those are harder on me. Like I said, I like Frenzy, Mr. Do on level 3 and 4, just to go.
Yeah. We've got some people saying Gorf. We've got
Gorf was good.
See, Destructor, the steering wheel driving game.
I never played that.
Buck Rogers. What else we got here? That's about it. And then Jason M at the top. He basically talks about the transition that I think some of us did. I went from ColecoVision, sold that, went to Commodore 64, mainly because you could get free games over there on not so legitimate channels as a 14-year-old pirate, of software. My allowance was spent on floppy disks.
Yeah, that's what Jason M said, that he remembered playing ColecoVision, but it did come out right before the crash. It had a good year and a half, solid good year and a half, and then the crash happened, and then became the dawn and rise more of the Commodore 64 era. Which you were big into. Both you guys are big into it. I never actually owned a C64, to be honest.
Everybody had it where I lived. Go ahead. Sorry, Troy.
Oh no, I was just saying. Yeah, I bought mine with the paper route with the disk drive. Yeah, because you had to get the.
We started off with the cassette drive.
Really?
And that was like slower than molasses in January. Right. And up here in Canada, my parents bought the Commodore 64 at a place called Canadian Tire, which is like a not Lowe's, but like a hardware store, essentially, that they sold like filters and oil for cars and household stuff. But the Commodore 64 was there, and purchased that. So it was an interesting time, but I had way more fun with the 64. But the ColecoVision was the first one, right? It was the first console at the house, and going to the arcade, because that was their big thing. Their pitch was arcade at home, right? You had Donkey Kong playing at home, and Donkey Kong Jr. at home, and Zaxxon at home, and that was the big thing with Coleco. And it's hard to beat that when you think about it, in the end. So it's pretty cool stuff. But let's talk a bit about homebrews. So we talk a little bit of homebrews. You flashed Berserk and all that, but what game on the ColecoVision was the most impressive homebrew that you went, oh my God, kind of thing,
I think almost all the homebrews blow my mind on the ability for the graphics, but then I'm more into what is the gameplay. Like Frenzy and Berserk are amazing, but it's not a graphic. It's like, how does it play? And I really got into, oh my gosh, it's the Goonies. I think it's a fantastic little game.
It's an MS export, but it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, all of them seem to be those ports now. Because you know what I want?
Some of them are from scratch. Some of them are ports. It's a mixed bag, right? It's and there's nothing bad about it. It's just a mixed bag of whatever. What about you, Glenn? What's your homebrew that you went, holy crap, or you just love playing it, or whatever?
I'm trying to think on the ColecoVision what homebrews I actually have. I actually have a lot more. For the
even the publicly released ones, you know what I mean, that are free.
Team Pixel Boy puts them out every year, boy.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I forget. Yeah, like, did it have Gradius? Wasn't Gradius made for the ColecoVision by
not yet.
CollectorVision or something like that?
Okay. No, that one's
coming.
To check
up. Stevie Adams
by Opcode's releasing that soon.
Okay, so that one looks pretty impressive. And again, some of those require the Super Game Module, which is based loosely off of a product that Coleco was going to come out with, but we used wafer tapes. It would have been really cool. It turned into the ColecoVision computer because they saw the writing on the wall that computers were coming up. But originally, ColecoVision was going to release this module you put in the front, and it took these little wafer cassettes, and they would have pretty much had, I can't say unlimited storage, but for all practical purposes, for kilobytes on the old machines, it really would be considered unlimited storage back in the day.
Right.
The only problem was they couldn't get them to work reliably, and which is kind of funny. They stopped with those, went with the Adam with the digital data packs, which really didn't do them any service going with them later on. But it would have been cool. It basically would have been a CD-ROM attachment for that 8-bit era in 1982. That's really how innovative Coleco was, and that's why I'm not going to hand it off to Coleco. Coleco was the Connecticut leather company. They started as a leather company. They were making shoes and
boots
jackets and boots.
Leathers.
That's what they were doing. And then, like in the 60s,
pools,
the 60s, they started doing pools. So, hey, leather pools, of course they go together. Yeah. So I start selling pools.
We do stuff to hold your pants up,
and then
you take them off to go to the pool.
And then they say the next logical progression from leather and pools is going to be toys. Let's make some toys. And they started doing toys. And then, hey,
what's the one
what's
that
better
made
with
them
water?
big? I forget.
The ColecoVision
Kerplunk or something. No, there was a toy that made them a pile of money.
Well, there was the Cabbage Patch dolls that made them a...
No, before that, it was the... I forget what it was. There was one game that they released and they made piles of money on. I forget what it was. But go ahead.
The point was they did that, and then they started with some handhelds. They came up with Mattel had the football, and Coleco had their rip-off version of their football. Right. It was most people went for the Mattel one because that was the original, but some kids went for the cheaper Coleco because
they had it pass. They always did one extra thing. They had it passing to it before Mattel did, which I only had the Mattel one too. But
and that's the advantage, and that's the advantage coming out after the fact. When Atari came out in '77. And television had a little time. So what you got here? And we made an improvement. And Coleco went, oh, we'll wait even longer. And they leaped again. And that's always the way it will be. But it's just funny. A leather company was making not only one of the most popular, again, it didn't get as high as it would have done if the crash didn't happen, but one of the most soon to be most powerful. It would have been the Xbox 360, PlayStation, 5 of its era. It's really what it was. Then the crash happened and took it out. And then the Adam was really poised. It really was poised at its original price point. You have a 64K, or 80K computer, actually. Its own high-speed data cassette. And I want to make sure people understand this. It wasn't a cassette. It was not a cassette. It was a high-speed data pack. So it actually had 2 tracks. You had the front track was your data. The back track was like your sectors on a floppy. And there was actually a wheel inside with an encoder on it. So it actually could go through it knew exactly where everything was. It just had a speed, and it loaded a lot faster. But that was also the problem, was they had a lot of issues with the printer literally blasting up an EMP. I mean, so people worry about nuclear war. The Coleco printer, every time you turn that sucker on, blasted so much EMP out. If you left your cassette in the machine or anywhere near it, it was clean. It was clean. Yeah. It was wiped, brand new.
Damn.
So
I didn't know that.
No, it's true. So people returning and saying the games didn't work, they were wiped because the instruction manual specifically said, put your data pack in the machine, turn it on, boom. It just EMP'd it. It got wiped. So they eventually put a decal on top saying, no. Put your cassettes in a fireproof safe on the other side of town. Turn on your Adam, go back to that safe across town, and put it in, and then it was good. And of course, eventually they fixed it. But again, they had almost an 87% return rate.
Nobody tested that. So stupid.
Well, it wasn't so much that they tried to make it in time for the Christmas season, and they were missing it. So
one thing, Glenn.
Yeah.
Oh, just one other thing on that too. I remember the big thing was that was a daisy wheel letter quality printer, and nobody knows that now. But you could not, if you turned in an assignment that was printed, teachers would go, "No, you got it. It's got to be typed." You could type on that, you could save it, and then you could turn it in. Granted, you could hear it type from your school 22 miles away.
Who's shooting that gun off?
It's a machine gun.
but you're right.
My printer.
Huge that was packaged for $600.
Right. So again, you had a memory cartridge that looked like an IBM. You had this nice big memory cartridge. You had a cassette high-speed data pack. You had a keyboard that wasn't attached like a 64 or TI. It was a removable keyboard that actually had a networking. The keyboard wasn't connected just over a wire. It was actually Adam Net. So you could plug in these devices to this port. It wasn't just a cable. It was actually a network and an Adam in 1982. And like you said, the printer was a daisy wheel printer. And people don't realize today, because now everything is done electronic, people don't even know how to write script. My kid wasn't taught script in school. So back then, if you typed in, you used a daisy, not a daisy wheel, a dot matrix printer, which was, you were lucky if you even had that. Yeah. That was not acceptable. It wasn't acceptable. But with the Adam, you could actually just press a key and it would type it like a typewriter. You could do it that way. Or you can go into the cheating mode, which was a word processor. So you can go in and fix it. Because I remember before computers, we had a Smith Corona typewriter and I had to write an astronomy report for astronomy class. And type, and you make one mistake and you were done. You were done. And you had to start all over.
You could use this special tape.
No, but see, they would see that. And that was not, you cannot have that little white strip on there. You got to start
off with your head or what?
And footnotes. Don't forget, you needed to plan for footnotes or over.
That was horrible.
Wow. All right.
That was just kid torture. That's all that was.
There's guys in the chat talking about the little mini Coleco arcades.
Oh, yeah.
That I kindly addicted Glenn to them.
Son of a bitch.
Over the years. He still curses me for that.
Son of a bitch.
Those little mini Coleco arcades. I've got 4 of them.
Do you really? Oh.
Yeah, I've got the Frogger, Donkey Kong that Glenn sent me, and I've got a Miss Pac-Man and a regular Pac-Man.
I think I have 20 of them now. Thanks, Steven.
20. I told him about it, and it was like, oh.
And now
I
remember
them. I remember them, but I never really had the bug. And then I bought one. And I bought one. I got the whole set. And then, well, I can't have just one of the set.
Now he collects every mini arcade known to man, like all this new stuff from, all these different companies. I forget the names of them all, but Qbert and Dragon's Lair and all this other stuff. So it's like, but I think we had a good crowd. We had 50 people in here tonight. I didn't.
That's awesome.
Actually, was up higher than that. You're not paying attention.
Oh, how much did it go up to?
We hit 68 at one point, which for
68?
us, they almost hit my age, which is awesome.
That's
couple years
unheard of
for
us.
But I do apologize. My program that brings up people's individual chats, what I usually do in the episode to highlight people, of course, wasn't working tonight because something always breaks on Glenn's Retro Show, guys. You know that. It's just how it is.
If it doesn't break, it's not called Glenn's Retro.
That's right. It's an imposter run fast.
Well, that's the thing. So, had a great time tonight. Detroit. So
before we go,
we're not cutting it off, but I'm just saying. Usually, this goes by really quick, the hour, and we basically let the crowd, and it's a very organic thing, and it's hard to explain that to people because I think when I pitched you the invitation, I said, hey, this is the show, go check it out, and some people are just downright scared.
Hobby Hands hit it on the head. Breaking it old school, right there.
Breaking it old
school. A chance to make a fool out of myself, please. I'm there.
So tell us a little bit about.
I do well. I need to do it often.
Tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel here. So you concentrate primarily on right now, ColecoVision. These are your videos right here.
Yeah, Kiss and ColecoVision are it. The one I was going to just mention as since we're talking so much ColecoVision, that 12-second screen where you had to wait.
I hated that.
I know. So I've got a song on here, Glenn. You probably appreciate it. I took 2 Tickets to Paradise and made a parody, 12 Seconds to Paradise.
Is that in here? Is that in your channel?
It's in there, yeah.
How long ago?
And it's only up to the first verse. It's not masterful, but I've got 2 little. I forgot what the other one was. I made some other one.
I'm trying to find
probably what I'm going to do is add his videos to my Coleco site because Troy does go in depth about the games a little more than some of these other people's videos. So
here it is. I found it. Hold on. I found it.
You found it?
Right here. Smell flavor is right in
Hey, but you got another few, not so close to the band.
This is the arcade experience. We're ColecoVision. We bring the arcade experience home. Because your vision is our vision. ColecoVision.
That's my grandma getting arthritis.
I waited through the startup screen so I could begin. I waited so long. I waited so long. I waited so long. Waited so long. I was
we really did wait so long.
You can do. I can't figure that out.
Tutorial on cdaddict.com.
Yeah. Is it on there?
It is.
Oh, I'm gonna do that. Oh my God.
You need soldering skills. If you don't, maybe maybe not.
So
And
you definitely have to go check out his channel here, and you can hear this whole song. I thought that was pretty awesome myself. You got some
Well,
skills
good.
in
I'm
editing
glad.
and putting it
You
together.
have
That was
to
pretty good.
relate to it because 90% of the world is like, what the heck is this about? What is he talking about?
Well, that's the thing, and you've got to, just tell people this is this machine that existed 30 years ago.
Mhm.
Love it or hate it. It's that simple.
Right. Well, and I even think other people that had Nintendo or whatever, they know that feeling. We all know that feeling of, oh my gosh, this thing's coming out, and it gave us joy for still. So, I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, so go check out Troy's channel, Hitogify. Go subscribe. Break the 69 barrier.
It's a shame you got to do that,
so
but you know what? I don't know why. It's a great year. We landed on the moon that year too, and you're making it a total perversion, Steven. I don't understand.
I don't know. It's overrated. That's all I got to say.
But once again, we do want to thank you, and I'd like to have you on again because I think
that'd be great.
My too many sodas today. A couple of Coca-Colas and too sugared up today. But we'll have you on again. But we have so many good people in the chat too, and I'm sorry that my other part of my chat program wasn't working, which again is not, unfortunately, not uncommon here. But we have Goofyfoot here. We have Keith. We have Paul. We have BA again. BA, thanks again for those super chats. That was really awesome. Pliskin's Run, always a pleasure. Martin Myers here. There's so many people here. Dick Walson. So many people here.
I'm
we
loving
appreciate
just
it.
watching the chat all the time we were going.
The chat's awesome. These guys are great.
Dude, if you come here just to watch what people write, we used to do an episode of that. We just sit, me and Steven just shut up.
Just sit back and
shut up, not say a word. We'll make our screens really tiny and literally give the show to the chat.
The crowd.
And let's see what happens with that show. Before we go, let me put a poll in. Let me see what people think about this. Let's do a poll of, should we give
laziest Glenn's
yes.
joke.
Nope, it dropped to 82. So we'll see. Maybe people want to hear us, Steve. Maybe people actually want to hear us talk.
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll gotta go for another couple minutes here.
We love your chats. That's what it says, Paulington.
Well, you know what? But to be honest, we look forward to, and I'm not joking when I say this to the people out there. Steve and I talk about this all the time. You guys are phenomenal. We go back, look at these chats, and we laugh because we don't see it always in real time. Sometimes we see it after fact. You guys are hysterical. You guys are phenomenal.
We miss it sometimes too because when we're talking to the guest and stuff slips through the cracks, and you go back and you're like, "Wow."
Yep. Or sometimes you read something, or sometimes you do read something, you see it, but it doesn't click, and you're like, "Holy shit! Did he sneak that through?"
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you guys are liking the show, to be honest, because Glenn and I, when we started this thing, and we were just like, "Hey, let's try it. What the hell?"
We are the Seinfeld of YouTube channels. We don't prepare very much. We kind of just go on the show. There's been a couple of times, like 2 minutes before, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. Let's talk about this.
The only preparation to this show sometimes is the guest and making sure they get on. That's it. And then sometimes me and Glenn call each other during the week and say, "Hey, how about we talk about this?" And sometimes it's a good idea, sometimes it's a bad one, and we roll with it. It's that simple.
Oh my God! My son kicked him off the computer. I actually said hi. Cole, he's in the chat. Cole, thank you for bringing down our stream like 3 times.
Connection,
yeah,
Cole.
we appreciate that, Cole. Thank you.
Go back and play Fortnite in a few minutes. There.
Yeah, so we'll be done.
I just got a text on my phone. Are you done, Dad? Because I kicked him off his guitar. So hey, we're
Are you done?
So is your son very into?
Oh yeah. He's got a composition degree, and he's insane player. Gives lessons. Yeah.
All right, let's see the chat, and we stop the poll here. What did people say? Let's see, end poll.
32 votes.
So 62% said yes. We should do. We are going to plan. They speak. We will plan a show for the chat. I'll set up the machine. I'll make sure the internet's actually working properly. Steven and I.
Even if it freezes, it won't matter.
No,
because the
we will react
for a few seconds and go.
We'll have some reactions, I'm sure, but we're going to let you guys have a show. You can talk about whatever you want. Maybe ask us questions. You say, maybe we'll put something up. You got to answer this question, and then we'll go down there. So people have spoken, Stephen. We have to do a
Oh.
show for just a
Let's
chat.
do it. Let's do it. Let's
All
just
right.
do it. See where it goes. Maybe it'll be a good experiment, bad one. Maybe
Well,
a
that's-
dumpster fire.
we
or
won't
awesome.
know.
But it wouldn't be your fault. It'd be their fault because you didn't do anything.
Blame the crowd. It's all your fault, you guys.
Yeah.
Well, each
Whatever.
one of my episodes is almost a dumpster fire. It's close, so there's a little leg room, I guess, for them. But so we'll let your son go back to his guitars. But is there anything you want to say before we end the show? Because the Super Game Room dudes have probably started. And I don't want to encroach on their show.
I
So
had a great time talking with you guys. I'll say that. It's
Cool.
it's fun. We're all reminiscing about things we love and all care about, and that shared community is like the chat is just that's. I'm gonna be in there next week probably. I'll be one of them. Well, someone else is here, or no one because you're doing a silent one or whatever.
It could be.
I'll be like best show I've ever seen.
We also got Philip Decker again. Thank you so much. We got another super chat. And I want to say that to people again in the chat. We do this show for us just to have some fun, reminisce about old times, and mostly for you guys in the chat to engage with you guys. Super chats are not necessary. It's always welcomed, but it's really not. I've got another one here, 99 cents, and I wish I had my glasses on. Was it a Cobra Crane? Am I saying that right? Cobra Crane, you guys see that in the chat yet or no? It's not up on your screens yet.
You don't know where the syllables finish
don't.
and start.
I can barely speak
I know
English.
the last word is crane.
Crane. So we'll say I crane. We'll say that.
I prod cane.
Yeah, we are old men. These words are too big for us. It's like cat,
Sure.
hat.
Break it down for us. Break it
That's
down
right.
for us like they do in the dictionary,
Yes. But
that's what the dictionary's for.
We do appreciate that super chat as well. And listen, I can say it again. You guys are the best. The community is the best. You guys make the show, and we appreciate it every week. We want you to potentially go over to Super Game Room Dude. So they're live right now, I'm sure. We'll see you again next week, assuming my internet and everything else is working correctly.
You get new internet. That's what you need.
That's what I
new
need.
internet.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Listen,
all right,
have a
I guess
great.
we're done.
We are done. We're gonna end it just a weird way. We're all gonna do one of
My
those.
in-laws are waiting in the next room, so
So we gotta go longer.
skedaddle.
So you're saying not leave because you have in-laws there? We're gonna stay on.
Yeah,
longer?
I'll be sleeping on the couch if that happens.
All right, everyone. Listen. Remember, no matter what you do tonight, make sure you tell your family and friends that you love them. Nothing's ever promised. And game on.
Game on.
Game on.
Of course, I got to end the show now, right? Bye, guys.
Bye.
Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit.